So, the whole time that I was in labor, I had like this idea that I had like this limited time to get the baby out, and I just wasn't dilating. Sorry if Pitocin is not very effective for that, I guess, but it hurt like hell. So I was having all of these contractions really, really, really close together, and the whole time Aria was moving around my tummy a lot, and constantly like getting off of the heartbeat monitors. So like literally every 10 minutes they were coming in, regardless of whether or not I was in the middle of a contraction or not, and just completely like screwing around with my stomach, which just made contractions even more painful and unbearable. So after I had been on the Pitocin and contracting really regularly and feeling some severe pain for about, I think 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. was the first time that they checked me after that. And they checked me, and I don't think I had dilated at all. No, I hadn't dilated at all. So, or maybe like an inch or two, but not much. So, I went on doing whatever they told me to try to get things going. In that time, we switched rooms twice, I believe, and I'm not sure why exactly. But they kept having us switch rooms, which was a huge pain in the ass because instead of my husband like being there to be with me every single contraction, he was having to like carry our shit from one room to another room. So that was stupid, and I don't know why that was happening either. It was just like added stress for like no apparent reason. So then I was still on the Pitocin, and things started to get really, really, really intense. So they put me into a bathtub, and I was able to stay in there for about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, not very long. Even though that was like the most comfortable place for me to be, but they were like, you're not on the monitors in the bathtub, we've got to get you out of there. And like that was my only opportunity to do that, even though that was like the most comfortable that I had felt laboring the whole time. So I got out of bed I got out of the bathtub and labored on the toilet for a little while. My husband was really trying, but he was kind of a jerk about not reading the books, so he wasn't really entirely sure how to like he was really supportive and helped me through all of my contractions, but he didn't know the techniques exactly for getting a mother through a natural labor. So, like, this is a natural labor, not a natural labor. I don't think anybody really knows the techniques for getting a mom through a Pitocin-induced labor. So, my contractions were so intense. They were, they just melted into each other. I did not have any breaks at that point. So I was freaking out. I was no longer able to, like, breathe through the contractions. And I was, like, when they were peaking to the end, I was like literally yelling, and the nurse was yelling at me to not do that and like getting mad at me about it. So I can't remember, she's like, okay, we can do, I was like, is there something you can give me, because I just need like a break from this because the contractions are nonstop. And she was like, we can give you, I don't know what it was. They gave it to me in my IV, though. And she's like, it only works for an hour, and we can only give it to you once. So, they gave me that, and it did help. But then after the hour, it started wearing off, and everything was, like, back completely full force. So, at that point, I had still not seen... It was getting to be around, I think it was 3, 4... something like that. And my midwife had still not bothered to show up to the hospital because I wasn't technically in active labor, because I was only dilated to like a 3 or a 4 at that point. So I'm like, I didn't have any, so let's see. that was about 12 hours in labor, right? 12 hours? Yeah. Yeah. 12 to 13 hours. When I finally was like, okay, I can't breathe through these. I need an epidural. So when I said that, then my midwife finally decided to show up. So she showed up and she's like, are you sure about this? And I'm like, well, check me. So she checked me and I was only 5 centimeters dilated. It felt like how they described transition. For those, like, 3 previous hours, it just felt like in the books what they tell you transition's like. So it was really, really, really intense with just the back-to-back and, like, the non-stop. It would just, like, go up and peak, back down, and then go up and back down and go up and back down. And I was like, you know, I haven't really had any support, and this nurse hasn't been supportive. And, like, she came and she was trying to, like, get me to catch my breath and stuff like that, but it just wasn't happening at this point. I was just so far gone. So, the one nurse who was like the labor Nazi was like mad at me. I just remember her saying, like, I can't believe this, Mom, and walking out. She was just pissy and bitchy as fuck. Sorry for my language. So, I was like, well, Wendy, I don't know what's going on here, and I can't relax, and this is when I could talk, because it was, like, I could not really talk. I don't know even if I said all of this to her, but what I was feeling at the point was, I only have, like, 4 to 6 more hours to get the baby out. This is too intense, it feels like, for 5 centimeters. I can't do this, like, times 2. Because in my head I was thinking, if I'm only halfway there, then I'm going to have to keep doing this. And then I knew that by that point they would probably have if not talked me into a cesarean section. And at that point they had turned the Pitocin completely all the way up. So, I got the epidural.